This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Alabama's Pantone is the same number as the Razorback Pantone. Little difference in the color, tiny little difference, but they're almost identical.
They are close.
They're very close, but even the PMS Pantone number is awfully close to the same. Alabama is 201C. Arkansas is 201. So there's a tiny little difference from A to C. Anyway, we'll see if, when you're watching the game on Saturday, pay close attention to any difference in the Reds between the Hogs and the Crimson Tide. Bill King joins us from Nashville Sports Radio now. Morning host, 6 to 9, the king of college football talk. Bill, you texted me exactly what we have been discussing for the past 2 days and started to get past it, I think, today, here, the third day of our show since a loss that we just really can't make any sense of. And, it's the way you put it to me, they have to be knocking themselves after losing that game. They are. I think the team is past it. That's what Sam Pittman expected to do, is flush it out Monday and just plan for Alabama. I think the fans, though, takes a little bit longer to get past a loss like that. So when you watch that game, the Southwest Classic, to you, it really seems obvious Arkansas was the better team. That's what we all saw, but that's not the way that it played out in the final score.
By the way, that bumper music, was that Geddy Lee, hurts my voice. Trying to do what he just did in that song hurts my throat. I'm just telling you.
That's Greta Van Fleet, right? That's Greta Van Fleet. It sounds like Geddy Lee, yeah.
I thought that was Geddy Lee. Okay, it still hurts my throat, regardless of who it was.
You're exactly right. Just hearing it, it's like, how does Gus Johnson get to that level? How does he get to that level, too?
I was watching the game, fully convinced Arkansas would win, pregame, during the game, up, and then that play happened, one of the craziest plays you'll ever see. And I'm just wondering the emotional state of this team. And I'm not suggesting I know, but you have to wonder. That's a tough blow. And after that game, you're trying to figure out how the bleep did we lose that game. No way we lost that game, but you did. The scoreboard says you did. That can hurt. I mean, that can hurt a team, and it doesn't help that you've got Alabama, which is a much better team than the one you just played, to deal with. And this is going to be interesting. Arkansas is in a very precarious spot right now.
Well, I mean, you look ahead to what's ahead of them, not just Alabama, but a good Mississippi State team in Starkville the following weekend, and then traveling all the way to Utah. I mean, Arkansas hasn't traveled out that far to the West Coast for a regular season game in a long, long time, and facing a good BYU team with a really good quarterback. And, I mean, you're facing the three best quarterbacks you're going to face all season in Bryce Young, in Will Rogers, and in Jaron Hall. And, yeah, I mean, it is a precarious position, and it's not just because of the opponents they're facing that they have Saturday in Alabama. It's also like, how do you bounce back from a game like that? And, to your point about the emotional kick in the groin that you got from the fumble return 97 yards, Arkansas recovered from that to a point, but then there was another, emotional kick with the botched snap and the field goal that hit the top of the goalpost, something else we had never seen before. So they hadn't had a chance to come back from that one, from the missed field goal yet, right? I mean, they did from the fumble. It took a quarter and a half to do that. But I guess that's what this week is about, just trying to find a way to bounce back emotionally somehow.
No question. Against Crimson, which is very intimidating. And I don't know if Alabama's playing as well as they need to yet. They played well against Vandy. We're not sure how to measure that, but they dominated a game they should dominate, so give them credit there. But, yeah, it's a very tough position they're in right now, and we always talk about the sodium pentothal moments. These next few weeks, including last week, are Arkansas's sodium pentothal. We're going to find out here last week, next 2-3 weeks, exactly what this team season is going to be like.
Well, Bama hasn't necessarily faced, the Green Bay Packers on a week-by-week basis. Texas gave him a great game. Texas, I think has been exposed a couple of times already this year. But the Texas defense did a really nice job against Bryce Young and that group of receivers. But Young, still made the play at the end of the game that mattered. That's the thing about Bryce Young that stands out. I think you throw away the numbers, and the touchdowns against the interceptions and anything. The guy didn't play a great game against Texas, but when it came down to needing to make a drive and somehow avoid a sack they had no business avoiding, the guy just makes plays when they need to.
This will be the most physical matchup Alabama's been in, easily. But I do think that receiving core, and Jameson Williams is gone, and Mechie's gone, and a ton of All-Americans before them are gone. I think this group's starting to whip into shape. Now, I don't think they have a player like that, but I think it's a good group. And I think this team's playing a lot better than they were in that Texas game. If I'm Arkansas, I would expect Alabama's best game of the year.
Right, because they're facing an SEC West team. This is their, they played Vanderbilt last week. It's different when you're going up against a team out of the West that, quite honestly, I don't think that Sam Pittman puts it in these terms because he's building a team, I think, the way he would just build a team based upon who he is. But they're built a little bit in the likeness of Alabama, control the line of scrimmage, utilize the deep passing. We haven't necessarily seen the deep passing game of late from the Razorbacks, and I kind of feel like that was supposed to be a strength of the offense, and it's come in fits and starts. They're going to need to make some big plays. Controlling the line of scrimmage against Alabama is going to be tough. They're going to try to do that. They're going to need to hit some big plays in the passing game right now, and that's kind of come and gone these first 4 weeks.
Well, that, and you've got two players on Alabama's defense that are dominant, and they're outside linebackers, and one may be the first pick in the draft, perhaps. So it's going to be tough for the quarterback to have a big day in the running game. I'd be surprised if he has a big day in the running game. Those guys are as big and more athletic than he is. That'll be tough. And getting deep. Now I think Texas showed us you can get deep on that secondary, and you can get underneath on them too. I think they're average by their standards back there, and you may be onto something. I don't know how much you're going to be able to run the ball in that game. Maybe a little better than I think, but I do think they can be exposed beyond the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm. Bill, staying in the SEC West, what are your thoughts on the Lane Kiffin press conference video that's kind of gone viral the last 12, 24 hours about him calling out the fans? And if you've ever been to a game at Ole Miss, you can see where he's coming from. I mean, heck, besides the Mannings, their most famous alumni is Vodka Tonic Girl.
Right. It's you would think, as good as he's been there in year two and now this year, and that first year they had no defense and they fixed it, and as exciting a brand as they play, this is as happy as Ole Miss as a football program has been steadily in decades. And you would think as a student body, you'd want to be there for that. It's only about 3 hours. You can get back to the keg party. Nobody's blocking you at the keg party, right?
No.
And so I don't understand that either. And I think he's incredibly happy there, but obviously that's an irritant. I don't blame him. You run out there, you've been working your tail off, and you're looking at empty, huge gaps of emptiness. That's embarrassing, and it's deflating.
It really is. And I mean, they've got a top 15 matchup right now, both undefeated, Ole Miss and Kentucky coming into Oxford. How do you see that one playing out? I think that's got a case for being possibly one of the best games this week.
I don't think Kentucky's playing very well. And they do have Rodriguez back, who is an absolute man at tailback. He's back for the first time. Now, what is his rhythm going to be like? Is he in midseason form, or is he, there's nothing like game action. You can practice all you want. Nothing replicates the actual game. If he's right, that's a big problem. I mean, that's an NFL running back. He's playing Sundays. It's 225. But I still like Ole Miss in this game. I think they're playing better, and they're at home. And even though we just talked about some of the problems being at home, I still like them at home.
Tennessee, big win against Florida.
Oh, yeah. Tried to give it away, but big win. Yeah.
Hendon Hooker, what is his sixth year in college football, and so he's one of the older guys in the sport. That doesn't take away the fact that he's just making play after play after play with his legs, with his arm, with his head. He's right now. Bryce Young is going to be at the top of the list because he's the returning Heisman Trophy winner. But I don't know anyone else in the league that's playing any better than Hendon Hooker.
You're not supposed to be giving credit for a previous year, but here's a crazy stat for you. He didn't even start last year at the beginning. Joe Milton did, which makes you wonder what they were seeing in practice. But you know what his TD to INT number is since he started last year for them? 45-2.
Wow,
that's insane.
That's like you made that up. It can't be true.
Mm-hmm. That's right. It does feel made up. That Auburn Missouri game felt made up too, man. That was ugly. That was ugly. And quite honestly, those are two teams right now that look like they're going absolutely nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. It feels like it is a foregone conclusion. Harson's done. Has to be done. If he makes it through the season, that might be a bit of a surprise. Right. What about Eli Drinkwitz at Mizzou? They had a so-so year last season. It does not look like it's an improving team. The great young freshman receiver took everything that related to Mizzou off his Instagram. I don't know if that necessarily means anything, but he's not happy, I guess. You see Drinkwitz maybe surviving this year?
Well, let me answer that this way. He's not going to turn it around there. Mm-hmm. That's not happening. And I think I conclude that. They probably can conclude that. Now, are they getting tired of running off coaches? Just ran off Barry Odom. And you're going to give this guy a couple of years. It's failing. It's not going to get fixed. And go get the next guy. Now, Missouri's a pretty good job. I'm not suggesting otherwise. I wouldn't be surprised if I think the modus operandi these days is do it earlier than later. Most people don't wait anymore. And usually waiting's a big mistake. All you did is prolong what you should have done prior. I would probably think they do something with it, because it's gonna stay ugly.
Well, so there's been a coach that's lost his job. Has it been 3 straight weeks? I think it has been, hasn't it?
Pretty much.
Scott Herman, and then Georgia Tech.
Jeff
Collins. That's it.
It's been 3 weeks in a row. Maybe there'll be a streak going. Auburn's got LSU on Saturday. I don't think they're going to win that game. Does Harsin survive the weekend?
I don't think LSU is a dominate somebody team yet in the league. I do think they're getting better. Their defense is better than their offense. And I got to give Auburn credit. Now, they had to hang on to beat a Missouri team that's not very good, but you can at least say they haven't quit, because if you quit, you just give that game off. So they're out there at least giving their best. And LSU on the road there, if Auburn is right, then that game's got a chance to be a pretty good game. If it's some kind of blowout, God knows. It'd have to be really ugly, though, I would think, to unhire him at this point.
Mm-hmm. Last thing, and then we'll let you go. So A&M, I know they were favored. I still viewed it as an upset, certainly the way that game went down. Yeah. It's a team, though, that really on an annual basis now, you never know what you're going to get on a week-by-week basis. The Aggies, I don't think, are fixed by beating the Razorbacks. I think they got a good defense. Can't take that away at all from them. But now they're down Anaya Smith for the rest of the year. Devin A-Chain is the only running back that I think they trust giving the ball to. And I still think that there is the possibility that the Aggies could end up free-falling a little bit, especially with Anaya Smith's injury. And they got a good Mississippi State team on the road. And that series with the Aggies and the Bulldogs has been really, really crazy.
True. This is a losable game. And we still don't necessarily know if we can trust them. He's winning 8-9 games a year there. This is, year 5. But I don't think they've turned the corner at all. Now, they're pretty salty defensively. I think we can give them that. And offensively, they're still trying to figure things out, right? They sputter around a little bit. They're not a big chunk team for the most part offensively. So again, I think they've got several more losses. If I were to judge them today, I think they're going to be another eight win type team. Which, again, they're not going to run him, but it's not going to be what they signed up for either.
Yeah, I think they might have some trouble slowing down Mississippi State. Then again, I thought they'd have trouble slowing down the Razorbacks, and they certainly did slow them down to a point.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BELIEVE, BLEAV 50. That's BELIEVE, BLEAV 50. Bet online, where the game starts.